Welcome everybody, and today we talk with one of the most famous experts in EFT, founding master trainer of trainers in EFT, who was a student of Gary Craig, and he was leading trainings in here in Russia. We just call it AAMET. Just read it.
Yes.
And so I think that this guy knows how many people really studied EFT, how many trainers there are in the Western world, and have a lot of stories. And first of all, I would like to ask you, how did you get information about EFT? Why you were impressed by this technique first time? What is your story of get acquainted with it?
Oh, well, thanks, Pavel. It was about 20 years ago, and I had been physically in pain. I had a pinched nerve in my neck from kind of roughhousing with my mates, with my friends. We were, but I tripped and pinched the nerve, and it was so bad when it happened that I had to be, sedated, so I didn't move my head and so for 7 years I had pain from here down into my left hand. And nothing worked. They wanted me to. The doctors just wanted me to take aspirin, paracetamol,
Medical,
that kind of thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Treatment.
Yes, pills that would not help my organs. They would be bad for the kidneys and liver. So I kind of suffered with that, and massages. And somebody phoned me one day, and they said, "Hey, have you heard of this thing? It might help your pain." So in those days, you could download the manual, and so I read it and started doing this funny tapping thing. And in the first day, about half of the pain went away, like maybe in an hour. And then I worked a little bit more on the emotional things behind it. I tended to hold my shoulders up, my tension was there. So as I learned how to relax that, I've been pain-free for almost 20 years now. So that got my attention.
And then you decided to study this.
Yeah. I was working with teenagers in care for the government in Canada and British Columbia, and but also I had been working with personal development and men's issues and spiritual growth as well. So for
what do you mean men's issues? Because what does it mean? And usually men less than women here in tapping.
Yeah, well, I don't know what it's like there, but in the West, with the equality for women, they have made many advancements and have much more say in things that go on. But at the same time, men have had to adjust to that. And sometimes you see men who have no direction. But also, we have the same things about success, performance, pressure, anxiety, all the same things that we always had. And the difference is that women seem more likely to talk about those things, whereas we think if we don't handle it ourselves, we failed. So just being able to address those things, create a safe place where a man hasn't lost his masculinity when he talks about something that isn't working. So I would call those men's issues.
Yes, and were you a leader of AAMET and or trainer of trainers? Because I read this on your website.
Yes, I was the director of training and a trainer of trainers for quite some time, and I think we created the format for how this would go out into the world. But that actually began in 2005 when I started with Gary Craig. My first training with him was in 2003, but in 2005 we did the Masters Founding Masters program, where it took about a year and a half. I had to show who I was. I had to do demonstrations in front of 100 people, videos. It was one of the most difficult processes, because we had to, it wasn't like we were going to a workshop, being told something and then being given a certificate. We had to demonstrate, show what we knew. And so I think about 50% of the people who applied to take that master's training were accepted, and 75% succeeded. So I was the 26th out of 30. And that's all there ever was. So a couple have passed away, so we're at 28 now, active in the world.
Okay. And while you were like seeing who is coming to study this thing, how many psychologists, how many coaches and therapists come to trainings to study and to get this tool?
Well, I was one of the first coaches, business coaches, that integrated EFT into coaching in the early 2000s, like 2003, 2004. And it has just gone wild with that, because people, at one point, if you've heard of emotional intelligence, then, I studied that in the 90s, but I thought this is a good way of thinking about feeling. And then when I found EFT, I realized this is actually where, the physical, emotional, and mental parts of us fit together. So you can, if the things that I've done with and changes are amazing with trauma, but to your point, business coaches are real, and personal coaches are really showing up in huge numbers. I have trained. I've trained many psychologists, like, and what's happening now in Australia and in the UK here, we have universities that are actually doing studies. So we're getting more scientific support for what we do, which is then bringing more professional people like psychologists and psychiatrists.
Can professional psychologists and psychiatrists study EFT at their university, like as a received tool and well-known tool in the university, like get degree on EFT in the university?
And not at this point. I think one of the advantages or the benefits of EFT is it is quite simple. And what Gary wanted to do was to put it in the hands of everyone, so that anyone could do this tapping. Everyone could have, if you had one member in the family. So we don't have official degrees programs yet. That's why the AAMET is changed its name now, but there's a couple of certification groups that maintain a standard. But in the future, I think that's where we're going, is that there will be a level of EFT theory that will suit the professionals at that level of psychology and psychiatry.
And how many trainers you trained, and or psychologists or coaches or people?
Well, I couldn't give you a number. It's
just approximate.
well, me personally, only 2 psychologists, and about, I think it's over 100 psychologists, because they're more into the psychology is more into the study of how we're thinking, and psychiatry is as a physical as well. So it's a little bit harder. But also trained a lot of acupuncturists, massage therapists, people who realized how connected our body and our emotions are. So into the thousands now, with all the different kinds of employment. And
what stories you have of like changes, maybe in your life when you work with people, or of your trainers who told you then and you were supervising and you saw that they succeeded with their clients?
Well, a couple of, first for me, one was notable on the phone in an hour. This woman phoned me. She had booked a flight from Canada to Germany and to go with her friend. And she was panicking because of her fear of flying. And in 1 hour, we went over calming her down to talk about it. We're working through that. A past flight that was scary. Then we imagined the flight from start to finish, and tapping whenever there was anxiety. So she did go on the flight, and she contacted me a week after she got home from her holiday. She said she only needed to tap twice in the whole flight. And when those flights were 11 hours from Alberta to Frankfurt. So I think that was an example of how bringing down that phobia and the physical experience of when you think about something, the panic and the high heart rate and that kind of thing. And another one that stands out that I worked with was a woman called me. She had been in the emergency department on the day before. She called me in the morning, and the doctors had said, come back and we will do exploratory surgery. She had diverticulitis, and her stomach was like rock hard, very painful. So I asked her, I don't know if you know about submodalities like size, shape, and color. That's an NLP thing. So I asked her to, go inside and give me an idea of what this pain looked like. And she came up with a dark black boulder, huge rock, bigger than her belly. So it was just pressing. So we talked about how she felt about it. Well, we were tapping, and we're tapping through the whole thing. And it started getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And with about 45 minutes, it was the size of a garden pea and a bright emerald green. And the pain was gone. So she felt much better. She went to the hospital, and they said, well, there's no point in operating, so she never had the surgery. And that was more than 10.
But before that, they wanted this surgery.
She was to go in that day at 2:00 for surgery. And when she got there, they said, well, it doesn't hurt and there's no swelling, and we don't know why, but there's no point in doing the surgery. So
and what did they make any photo röntgen or something like that?
No, she'd gone to the hospital. They sent her home, telling her to come back. She called me Sunday morning at 9:00. So I don't have any evidence for that.
Like there is no real comparison. What I'm asking for is just you may understand that observation. Like if it's very funny thing that Peter Stapleton said that she wants to work on cancer markers or something like that next year. So that would be interesting thing to see how it can be changed by tapping.
Yeah. We did some things. We watched in California with Gary. We had a specialist in blood, and we took a sample where it was coagulated, and it was fresh blood, but and then 15 minutes worth of tapping, and all the you could see it was flowing again. So that is available somewhere, probably through Gary, but yeah, I don't have it. Well, you see, this is the thing about the Peter and Elizabeth, both in Keele University here in the UK. They're studying and using scientific process to measure, and all I can give you really is my observations.
And we have in Russia many stories too, but I would like to show that there are many people doing this professionally. So to attract professional attention to this.
Well, the other thought I had was when you asked the question is, I had an advanced student, and she came to me. We worked on the phone in about 15 or more years ago for Crohn's disease, and she'd had pain for a long time, for 25 years. She was a teacher of 6 to 10-year-olds. So she had such good success with the EFT that she took the training with me up to level 3. And one day she asked her students, like every Friday, she gave them a math quiz. And I think it was 100 questions in 10 minutes or whatever. And she thought, well, she'd ask, how many of you are anxious? Put your hands up. Every hand in the class went up. So she just had them tap on the side of their hands and talk about, how they felt it was so many questions, not enough time, and I think it was about 15 minutes with that talk. Then she gave them the quiz, and across the room it was 28% improvement in 15 minutes, 28%. And 2 of her students got 100%, and they'd never gotten anything like that. So she provided, offered EFT in her classroom for 12 years, and she's just retired. But, we could see that when someone's anxious, they're thinking about the problems of, how much time I have or what will happen. And when they're calm, they focus on the question, and they have more chance of getting it correct. So she started out, people were sort of making fun of her, but pretty soon staff, principals, parents were coming to her, and they were bringing their problem students to her. I want my child in her class. So it well over a decade.
Okay. And do you have somebody from hospital who studied EFT from you?
Yeah, she's also retired too.
Doctors and so on.
Yeah, I have a scrub nurse. A scrub nurse is she's the one that is sort of the head of the operating room. So what she would do is tap on the patient as they were being wheeled into the surgery before there was any anesthesia. If they were anxious, she would be tapping on it. And she did that for years in Seattle, in Washington. And several doctors said, well, I don't know what you're doing, but keep doing it because it works. So that was, again, years ago. I think we're
How
improving.
do they prove that it works? Like what?
Well, the person is panicking,
Mm-hmm.
and then they're calm,
Mm-hmm.
and the doctors don't usually, they don't see them from their hospital room, being wheeled into the surgery. But
Mm-hmm.
if they were panicking, they know what their blood rate, heart rate is, and they know what's going on, and they could see in a short period of time
Mm-hmm.
that the patient calm. Now, the thing about that is that when you're anxious, it takes more anesthetic. So when you're calm, you use less anesthetic to get the same result.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So they could also see from that they were using, it was cost effective
Mm-hmm.
in a sense.
Okay, yes. And you a specialist in realignment in family. What is it?
Well, for the past 6 or 7 years, I've been working with families with 2 or 3 generations. Families I've been working with are high net worth, so they're from billionaires to multimillionaires, and quite often when the founder, like the grandpa, grandfather, great grandfather, they build a business and they make an income, and then the second generation and the third generation grow up, and they're starting to take over. Quite often, you have competition. What we've found is that what strikes me is that we make each other wrong. Don't think like that, or no, don't say that, don't feel that way. That kind of thing is making a child wrong. But one of the things that these families don't have is a safe way of disagreeing, or a way to argue and to come out with a resolution. So that's, we use, I met someone who had created a program around mainly about learning to listen and make sure that the other person knows that you have heard them. Mm-hmm. So what we realize is that people tend to listen to respond rather than to understand. Mm-hmm. So most people are waiting for you to stop so they can tell you what the truth is.
Yes. Did you notice some differences in rich and poor families? What's the difference?
Well, we're all human. I think it's just the amount of money, because the problems are the same. Don't tell me what to do. We create our patterns of behavior as children, and quite often, my clients, many of them, are actually working on beliefs and patterns of behavior that we find they created when they were 5 years old or 9 years old, and they're still happening, not because they consciously want them to, but because they find themselves doing it. So families are the place where you create your patterns. And for most of my working life, I have worked with individuals. So I would be talking to one person, and they would be talking about their family. But when you get, say, 3 generations of family in a room, it's quite a dynamic, because some of them want to be there, some of them are willing, and some of them aren't. So you get so the realignment is actually solving some arguments, or they've been insulted, upset 30 years ago.
Yes.
And they're still holding that against the person. And then when we get them out, and we use the EFT to bring down the emotional reactivity so that they can actually talk. Because quite often when you're upset, you'll get to a point, and then you just stop. The emotion is too intense. So we bring it down, or we walk away. So some people have had people who dominate to get their way, people who avoid, they leave. So the program itself is to help people with EFT and some breathing and understanding to bring down the intensity of their reactions to things that happened, and to create new patterns. And from there they create healthier futures, because they're working together and they can talk about it, and they have a way of disagreeing safely. And that really, what I'm working on now is how to provide this to families who don't have a lot of money, because it can cost it's cost $60,000 in US for some families. It costs a lot of money, but the principles are the same, and everyone deserves to have it.
What I see here, that it's easy to prove somebody to work on his emotions, on his patterns, because it changes his money or his health or something. And it's like, why should I work with my family? Why should I resolve this tension in my family? I need more money, or I need something, something else. So is there really connection between working on family, on issues between somebody who close to you, and then you have success in your business, especially when you don't want and don't see that you don't want to take anything from your father because he's not so rich or something like that. So why should I work on that? So how could you tell the stories of that changes?
Well, as I said, most of my individual clients are working on patterns of behavior. Now, just talking to someone yesterday, and when she was 2 years old, her father left the family, and then her mother gave her to her grandparents for 2 or 3 years. And it was very loving and warm, and she really enjoyed being with her grandma and grandpa. But then when she was 5, her mother came back and took her away from that environment and moved her into with a new man who was an abuser. He beat mama, and he was nasty to her. So she made decisions at 5 years of age. Good things don't last. I can't trust men. My voice, my opinion has no importance. What I want doesn't count. And she's in her 60s and she's still doing that. And she sees it in her relationships and things. So why would I look at my family? Because we have, most of us, issues or events in our childhood that, if not buried, the decisions we made about life because of those are still working. And if you're in a business and one of these things are triggered, and you go, well, why did I do that? Why can't I stop doing that? That's because of something that went on in your family. So it directly affects career, finances, how much you will have. Like, how good. This woman cannot have her life be really great because there's a part of her that associates being good and then having it taken away. Like, these things operate in our minds, and they keep us at a certain level. And it's nice to be a part of freeing people from those often unconscious patterns.
Okay. And what would you say to men? Because usually men don't listen to women. Maybe this is right, but now we have chance and opportunity to hear from men specialists why they should realize the emotion, and what is the man way of realizing and dealing with your emotions to be successful man, and be in your masculinity?
Right. We often think that if I change from, being a man and have feelings, I will become weak. So if you think about either or, I'm either like a woman or I'm like a man. Well, what about if one of the problems with not knowing what you're feeling or not recognizing your emotions is it often affects your health. Now, in the West, I know that a lot of men don't even know what they're feeling. I don't know, whatever. And so on one level, it is frustrating for their partners, for the women in their lives. Like, it's like, come on, like, show me something. But I feel that not only is there a health benefit, but emotions are not good and bad. And I don't think we should be run by our emotions, but they do contain information. So when you have data, when you have intellect, and you understand and you're skilled, your intellectual ability is, are well developed. If you have no emotion, then it's cold. It's just like numb. So part of it is to enjoy your life, is to have experience some level of emotional impact of it. Also, if you're angry, there's a reason. So if that emotion has told you somebody's doing something that's not right, it may have actually informed you before you were intellectually aware of it. So to shut it out is actually sort of like closing the door on a tool set, a toolkit. So not being rushed, not being run by it, but being advised by emotions.
Okay. And do you have examples when you were working with men on family issues, on emotions, and it helped with his health or business or making decisions?
Yeah. I'm working with someone right now in the United States that has always been very angry. So if someone in the company doesn't do the properly, he gets angry, and that has affected his promotion. What he's realizing now is that it's affected his relationship with his wife and with his son. And then in the last couple of sessions, we've been looking at how it's affecting his relationship. He works on a team. He's the only man. All the others are women. When he's like angry, shut down, perfectionist, seeing all the problems and no solutions, he's alienating his team. And he's seeing now, well, maybe I can still be me, but I can deal with these people in a different way. But he needed to bring his emotional intensity down to be able to see that.
And maybe you have some wonders and some miracles where, because Brad Yates, for instance, talks about law of attraction and this thing that you must be emotionally in the right state of mind to do something, or to have something just happening, you manifesting something in the emotional state of mind.
Yeah, a couple of things. The law of attraction is like the law of gravity. It's running all the time. You don't just like oh, I think I'll do some attraction. What's happening is we're always radiating, and so there's two things. There's what we're putting out. What what kind of, when people are going, oh, I never get what I want. I ask and I never get it. Well, that's what's going out in the world to be reflected. So you have to be aware of what you're sending out, but you also have to be aware of what you're seeing, because we all filter. We're all filtering for evidence to prove what we already believe. Now, if I believe I never get what I want, I'm going to be looking for when I didn't get it. I'm going to delete, distort, and generalize, all the good stuff. So I have tapped on myself every day for almost 20 years. I'm 70 years old. I'm in pretty good health. There's a lot of good things.
At the beginning, when I was when I knew this thing, I was surprised, and was like wonder for me, like something's happening. I didn't do with my hands anything, but something is happening, and now I'm just get used to it, and I'm seeing wonders as usual thing. So maybe that's why it's hard to find something, because this is now just usual.
Well, yeah, and also one of the things that we have been associated with is 1 minute wonders. EFT works like that, and sometimes it does. I think the fear of flying thing, I think in under an hour to take someone from terror to no big deal, to take someone from total pain to nothing. I think those are wonders. They do take a bit of time, but both of those were under an hour. I think sometimes we put pressure on ourselves as EFTers, because I had one client, a student, who said, I don't know what's wrong with me. I got a 1 minute wonder the first time I did EFT, and now it's taking, many sessions. I said, that's not your failure. EFT works whether people believe in it or not. And we can resist, and we can delete, distort, and generalize in our lives, even when we have good experiences. I'm trying to think. Nothing comes to mind in the sense of,
maybe what I see, that when I work with my issues on my brother, for instance, or issues on my father, or I just go to my parents and reconnect with them, and give energy to my family system, I would say, my family bubble. And then I realized that I work better, that I have new opportunities, money stuff resolved. And so I think that for me, I think that is a must be proven to people, to the wide audience, that you should look not only on your beliefs, but more on your emotions and your connections with your family that causes you. This is all about connection with your close people, not about your belief system. Then your thinking changes because of your have no good connection with your close people. Then you go to your job, or you go to your clients, and then realize that you have more clients, you have more money, some issues in your company resolved without you, because you resolved your family stuff.
Yes, and I've seen that so many times where, what came up for me just now is, when we have what EFT tends to do is, if you have a thought, you cannot feel a thought, but you can feel the emotion connected to the thought. So if you have a high intensity, a high level of emotion connected to a belief or a thought, then EFT can help discharge that, like to bring it down. which then makes it easier to change that thought.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have, and it also does that with memories. Now, one of the things we do with, the movie technique and the tearless trauma technique, we, especially if someone is visual, if they have either an image or a little video or movie,
Mm-hmm.
that every time they play it, now, just this year, I was working with a woman who had a memory.
Mm-hmm.
When she was 9, she was playing outside, and she went to put her little toy shovel for soil, and a bunch of wasps came out.
Mm-hmm.
And they got in behind her glasses and her hair, and they were stinging her. And she ran to her stepmother, and her stepmother helped her. But then she made her go back and get her glasses that were lying where the wasps were.
Uh-huh.
She was only 9, so she still had this vivid movie of having, being just terrified, and then, oh, thank you for, helping me getting the bees out of her. They were wasps anyway.
Uh-huh.
But then being sent back and feeling, sort of betrayed. And it was, and in 15 to 20 minutes, that memory went from vivid, the sounds of the wasp, the fear, the heart rate, all the reactions, they went down to nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And she was amazed that she could think about that event and not go through what she'd always gone. And she's in her 50s, so it was like over 40 years she'd been remembering that in a negative way. What's interesting is that if you find one of these beliefs and you shift it, it doesn't just affect one part of your life, it affects everywhere. So if you find what is keeping you small,
Mm-hmm.
if you elevate your self-worth,
Mm-hmm.
you start accepting and expecting and seeing better things for you everywhere, in relationship, in career, so that's why I think, the getting into those kind of family situations, decisions, and beliefs about, like the woman who, got taken away from the loving home and was supposed to be happy about that.
Uh-huh.
I just recall there's, in the family group that I was working with, there was a couple and their estranged daughter, and they didn't get along, and we resolved an issue between the daughter. When she was 13, she had to do a piano recital.
Uh-huh.
And she wanted to get there half an hour early to warm up and get ready.
Uh-huh.
But her father had it in the schedule to get her at the right time.
Uh-huh.
And for 30 years, she was angry with him because he made her fail.
Uh-huh.
And he didn't care. And so when we had them talking and tapping, both of them, their intensity got down because he was very defensive and she was very angry. And when what she realized once she stopped judging him, that she wasn't going to win that recital or competition anyway, because she had chosen a piece that wasn't as complicated as the winner. So it released her resentment of her father, and that changed their relationship. And 10 years later, she was 24, she had an experience where she won an American, like the national championship for oboe. She played the oboe. She won. She phoned her mother and she said, "Mom, I won." And her mother was a Christian and said, "Oh, I've been praying for you. Thank God for," and she went, "Oh, thank God. What about all the practicing I did every day for, Albert?" Bang. And so they didn't talk. Mom went to bed for 3 days. She was so upset, and they held that against each other for decades. Now that's gone. And my client is, of all their kids, she is the one that has the best relationship with mom and dad.
Mm.
And that's from tapping.
Did you tap with this daughter?
Yes. I tapped with the father and the mother and the daughter. And then we did the family unity work as well, the realignment.
Wow. And do you have examples how interaction between mother and father changes fate of their kids and health of their kids? Because usually when people come to me, like mother wants to make his son's life better or something, and then we get to the relationships between her and father of the kid and see that there is something wrong there. And
well, a lot of times, when people bring children to me, I ask the child to go out of the room while I figure out what's going on with the people. So sometimes we have, new age or metaphysical, you create your own reality. And when you are a child, you are not creating your own reality. You are in your parents' reality. Mm-hmm. And the job of a child is to survive long enough to be an adult and then, make decisions and create the reality. Unfortunately, we drag a lot of stuff with us and we don't do that. So in your example, the friction between the parents, if there is friction between the parents or if there is different parenting, the child can feel guilty. Mm-hmm. The child can feel pushed. Mm-hmm. And so there's a lot of ways of acting out. Mm-hmm. I have a client in Australia, and the child was 10, 11, and acting out at school, and just being rude to his parents. And so I worked with them, and then I worked with him. And in 2 or 3 sessions he actually took to tapping. He said he did the tapping. And I asked him, when you are yelling at your mother, when you're being a pain in the butt, is that the kind of reaction you want? And he said, no, I don't want to be like that. So I asked him, like, will you work with me to let go of the anger and that? His parents just told me that he got a certificate for the best student this year. Mm-hmm. So, and he gets along with his brother. That was another problem. So,
so what was the reason for his behavior like that, being a pain in the ass?
Yeah, real pain in the ass. His mother was vulnerable. Mm-hmm. She had a terrible relationship with her father, and made her like want to satisfy every problem, just make everything okay. And so he started to become like the little prince. Mm-hmm. And when he didn't get it now, it had to be like this and it had to be like that. And I think he just got carried away with himself. But essentially, he was a good person.
You mean the son of this woman?
Yeah, the son of the son took advantage of her decision to not be like her father. So she gave too much, tried too hard, didn't have, she couldn't say no and then keep it. She would say no, well, oh, well, okay, and he just pushed. So helping her have trust in herself.
Did you work with this woman, or you just work with the kid?
I worked with
all of them.
They have a business in Australia. I worked with them around the business, then individually with each of them around their relationship, with their childhood, with their attitude around success and money. Because sometimes we have a limit as to how good we can have it. Theirs is higher now.
And when you work with somebody and understand that this is issue about somebody who is not in the room, do you do surrogate tapping and manage the interaction with somebody who is not in the room?
Well, I have done a surrogate tapping. I'm a Reiki master, and I'm also initiated as a psychic surgeon through the Filipino. So I understand energy and the connection. But mainly the clients that are coming to me, it's my friend Carl Dawson has the matrix, and they do the echo, and they bring people in and all that. And I find it's a bit complicated. I just go cut to the chase. Let's cut through this. If the client, to do surrogate tapping for a relationship, or for someone who's not in the room, if the issue is in the person that I'm with, then how that person who isn't there, how they go on is not our issue. If someone says, I have a dog, a cat, an uncle who needs help and is willing to receive, then I'll do the surrogate tapping for them. But if your question was if a client in the room has issues with another person that's not in the room, would I tap for them? Not very often, because my client is my concern, and how they can be different when other people stay the same. There's an old saying, if you think you're enlightened, spend a week with your family. So, people go home for Christmas and things like that, and holidays, and the family is still the same. And I discovered that myself. You spend years working on your issues, and you go home and they're still the same, and still treating you the same and talking the same way. So unless I can have the agreement of when I'm working with families, then I would stay with my client and have them develop and grow, so that people who have treated them in a certain way in the past can't affect them. And when you change inside, they can't do what they did before anyway.
You probably know about Hellinger system. I mean, that thing, maybe you know this stuff, when somebody coming to you and talking about some issues with their family, and then we put the role of this father, grandfather, or somebody on somebody else, and then resolve some way. So I see tapping as a thing that you can do something like that, like resolve family issues, especially like as Hellinger says, even the child who was aborted affects family or something like that, or somebody who died affects the family some way, or memory about them or something like that.
Yeah, I think
I mean that surrogate tapping is advantage to work on with that.
You can.
The information
the thing you cannot do with surrogate tapping is tap for someone for a result I want.
Yes.
I can offer it's an offering rather than, you should be kinder to me and you should love me. That's not proper surrogate. But having, tapping for compassion, tapping for healing for another, there are many levels of consciousness and energy is affecting us. And when we are knowing ourselves and resonating in our own personal truth, none of that actually can make you do something you don't want to do. So that to me is helping. My pleasure is helping people claim their uniqueness, and I think everyone is born to express their unique being. There's nobody like you before and nobody like you after. So, but most of us are influenced away from being ourselves. So a lot of the work that people are doing is, who am I? And what, especially with violent homes. I work with a number of people who, their homes were so violent, they learned how to read everyone else so I could do what would be safe. But then they grow up and they don't know what do I want? Because it's all about what they want. So that's a challenge to help people. And you don't, the unborn child and that may have something to do with it, but the first and most important thing is to either establish or reestablish the skill set of going inside and saying, what do I want? What's important to me? What is my outlook, my perspective?
I was making an interview with Tanya Prince, and she said, I was making chase the pain technique, and then I resolved something with my client. So I don't know, what is it? Chase the pain technique?
Oh, chase the pain. Well, chasing the pain is something that we created for, a lot of times men don't know what we're feeling. But if we have a pain here, we'll just tap and we'll be talking about the pain in my ear, and then, it's gone down, but now I have a pain in my shoulder. So we'll tap on that. Oh, but now it's in my, my back. So you're just following what comes up. And as you tap, you're bringing that. What's interesting is that when you put your attention on something, like what we've done in the past is, if you have a pain, you try to not, it's like you don't want to experience it, you don't want to feel it. But that's exactly what your immune system needs. It's like if you have a fire, you phone the fire department and tell them where it is. So that they come and fix it and put it out. And this is what we're doing, is chasing the pain, is going, okay, there's the pain, let's focus on it. And as we're tapping, we're restoring the flow of chi in the body, but we're also alerting our body's immune system and to take care of things, which so chasing the pain was something that we would use rather than ask, well, okay, this is the left side, it's the feminine issues. It's also about, flexibility. and also the shoulder burden. So having to be, responsible for, and maybe there's a belief that, women are a certain way to me. And it's there. The pain is telling you might want to change.
That is great, because that is funny that you told about your pain, how you get into EFT. But this was my question. I was asking to different guys, and I would say that I resolved something, but I still have it. This means that there is something's happening.
Well, it's true. There's two things that come up, if you don't mind. One is aspects, right? So if you have like a diamond or a crystal stone, it has different faces, and each facet is an aspect. So if you think about the dentist, you might have an issue with the sound of the drill or the vibration or the smell. They're all different aspects. With this pain in the neck, there could be a number of related but different aspects, and until they're resolved, it'll keep coming back, because the pain is telling you, hello, look over here. There's an issue here. So we believe that under every physical pain and disease is an emotion that is either instigating it or maintaining it, or at the very least exacerbating it. So if we can,
how much does it cost your session?
Normally do sets of 6
sessions. Yes.
Yeah, and I sell them for £600, because it's unusual. It's unlikely that a person will get what they want in one session. But most times in 6 sessions, we can resolve. Let's try something. If you can go inside and ask for a size, shape, and color of the pain right now.
Kind of black, and it's all over my left hand, like black, something black, corpse dying stuff.
Okay.
Very stinky.
Okay. And is it thick or thin?
Yeah.
Is it lying on top or deep?
No, it's kind of inside in my veins or something.
Oh, okay. And does it come from the ear down to your hands?
Kind of, it's have source in my left ear. Now it's like waterfall.
So it's flowing down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good. I mean, not good, but thank you. All right. Well, let's just start with this waterfall, this stinky waterfall.
Этот вонючий водопад. I would say in Russian. Yes.
Yes. Good. Has it been there a long time?
For 2 or 3 years already.
Okay. And if you were to say out of 10, 10 being the worst, how?
10.
10. So have you just seen it as a waterfall, or is that a common thought? Is this new as a waterfall, or?
It's kind of, it holds. It's not flowing now. It's just.
Okay. But it's like, and
but it's inside, yes.
Yeah. So it's inside. This and it's dark.
Yes, it's still dark. It's kind of women lies, something like that.
Lies. Lies. Okay.
Lies.
So
not true.
Yes. Right. Yes. These frozen lies,
kind of this dirt lies.
dirt lies, stinky, rotten lies,
Yes, yes.
stinky, rotten lies. And the stinky, rotten lies hurt.
Yes, hurt.
Are you?
Yeah, there was an issue with one girl, and I still couldn't talk with her. She just was avoiding me always and seeking for protection with any other friend or man or anybody. He just avoiding be with me close and be honest with me.
Right. So you couldn't trust her.
I can't rely on her that she will be with me, something like that.
Right.
Or she will be honest with me. Or something.
You wanted to be honest with her.
I wanted her to be honest with me.
And it never happened.
It never happened, no.
And this stinky, decaying residue of this relationship is still in your neck and arm.
It gets lighter now. It's about 3 or 4.
Okay. Did you try? Did you try to talk to her?
I tried to talk with her, yes.
And how did it feel? Like, did you feel rejected?
I felt like I don't deserve even talk. Like I don't deserve even talk.
Oh, so was she like better than you, or too good for you?
She just hiding from me, like seeking for protection from me.
And so you feel she was afraid of you.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And her fear of you hurt you.
Yes. Yes.
You don't feel like you're dangerous to her.
Actually, yes. But I'm like in a game of somebody who wants to protect her. Just somebody else third in our game, and he wants to look like a protector. So he needs dangerous. It's like, oh, my little girl, I will save you from this dark.
Okay. So
be afraid of this guy or be afraid of him.
So it's not just her. There's somebody who's lying to her about you.
Yes.
So some guy is saying, don't trust Pavel. Don't trust him. Don't listen to him. He's dangerous.
Avoid him anyway.
Right. So she would not trust you enough to talk to you.
Yes.
To find out who you really are.
Yes.
And so the feminine side and the you know, there's nothing you could do. It's just killing you. To know that she thought like that about you must be.
Yes, because when I can't be nice here. I can't be not dangerous as just I am who I am. I'm just it is, and she's trying to avoid me as a trigger. She tries to avoid me as a trigger, everything connected with me. And this is just killing me.
Right. So this is a burden on you that she is not willing to see who you really are, and she listens to poison. Yes. And that poison is now in you.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm carrying the poison that he's put in her ear.
Yes.
He has poisoned her against you. And that hurts.
Yes, that's very hurts.
Mm-hmm. Well, what if nothing changes?
I think that she will know me anyway. There will be one more opportunity to see each other anyway.
Okay. Do you need to carry this with you
I think not. I think
Okay.
there will be more opportunities to find the way to be once with her and to find the truth when I'm not care what he is telling her.
Mm-hmm. So the problem is that she is believing lies that he is putting in her ear, and your feminine side ear is suffering because it's like this is her ear being poisoned in your body. And you cannot heal it in your body, can you? You cannot heal her in your body.
I think I can. I think she...
Well, this is why you have this. If you can trust her to heal, you can heal from these lies, because it's false. It's not true. Whatever is being told is not true. And for me, if you accuse me of something I did, I'll go, yeah, okay. If you accuse me of something I didn't do, I get really upset. It's like, I'm not like that. You're not like this. And I think your disappointment, do you feel disappointed that she believes him?
Yes, I'm disappointed that she is reacting like that. Like we were friends and then she's so reactive, so actively avoiding me. That is just piss me off. And I'm looks like a dangerous guy.
All right.
Because I can't suppress my anger because yes, I'm angry.
Okay. So let's just talk about this anger.
Вся эта злость.
This anger in my neck and shoulder.
Да, вся эта злость у меня в шее и в плечах.
I'm angry at all the lies.
Я злюсь из-за всех этих обманов.
How can she believe them?
Как она могла поверить им?
I'm devastated she believes lies about me.
Я не выношу, что она поверила в эту ложь.
How can I forgive this?
Как я могу это простить?
But I want her to see me.
Yes, I really want to see her. To
recognize who I really am, yeah?
Она знала, кто я на самом деле, да.
Yeah. But I'm angry.
Но я злюсь.
I wasn't. Now I am.
А теперь я злюсь, да.
It's not fair.
Это несправедливо, да. Yes.
It is unjust.
Да, это неоправданно.
Yeah. It's hard to let go of this anger.
Трудно отпустить всю эту злость.
I'm angry at him.
Я злюсь на него.
I'm angry at lies.
Я злюсь на эту ложь.
I'm angry with her for believing them.
Я злюсь на нее, что она поверила в него.
I really need her to see who I am.
Я хочу, чтобы она видела, кто я на самом деле.
I'll have another chance.
У меня будет еще возможность.
Yes. It will happen.
Это случится.
I am who I am.
Я тот, кто я есть.
I am who I think I am.
Я думаю, я тот, кто я есть.
And she will see that.
И она это увидит.
How's the anger now?
It's about 1 or 2.
Okay. And how's in the neck?
It's much more clear. Why should they carry and care about this?
You cannot suffer enough to fix the situation.
Yes.
But if you clear it, you'll be present when she shows up.
Yes.
So you want to be 100% there.
Yes.
Not less and caught up.
Yeah, it's kind of, I have a lot of anger on him and wanting to just punish him or tell him off or whatever, or just express all that energy on him. But I still holding myself like telling this is not worth it. I'm afraid that like I will look like a jealous and so on. Fear of looking like I'm jealous, I think.
Right. Yeah. So you can't express your anger to him because that makes you look like you're jealous and weak and who he is telling her.
Yes, exactly.
So you yes, it's like a pin in chess.
Yes.
You can't move your piece because you'll be in check. So it's a trap.
Yes, да, это ловушка.
I'm angry with him.
Я на него злюсь.
He's a liar.
Он лжец.
He is undermining me.
Он меня подцепил.
But I can't say anything.
И я ничего не могу сказать.
Because I'll make him right.
Потому что я сделаю так, что он прав.
And that just makes me angry.
It makes disgusted.
Disgusted, yeah. Yeah, it's must be frustrating as well because you cannot do anything. And it steals my peace of mind.
Yes. Часть моего ума все так же.
So he's winning because in too many places.
He lost her too. Because she just he could play, but he couldn't. But like he made me lose, and then he lost her too.
Mm-hmm.
But she still believes in him. That's the
Mm-hmm.
point.
Yeah.
And she's grateful for protecting from me. That is just a big
it's just
lies, manipulations to get her attention.
right. So is this a woman you really want if she is so impressionable?
It feels like I have missing event, like have something missed.
Okay.
Like I lost something.
Do you feel rejected by her?
Yes, I would say that she doesn't validate me. That's the not validated by her.
Right, and that is important.
Yes,
it's important that she validate who you are.
That's important to be in a good energy about me. Even if you don't do anything, even if she have her life and have no time and anything for me, but
so do you know if you have a fire, like a bonfire, we call it, like a camping, and there's two of you and you go and you get wood and you put wood on the fire. If you stop putting wood on this fire, it'll probably go out. How, if we can
wood in the fire, she's not putting wood in the fire.
No. So she's doing whatever she's doing, whatever's in front of her. She's probably not consciously thinking about this like you are, but you're putting wood on this issue to keep it burning. Do you know the saying, what you resist persists?
Yes.
My translation is, if it's not okay, it's here to stay. So you resist her rejection. So you have to engage with it. So let's just try this. I cannot accept that she invalidates me.
Я не могу принять, что она меня не ценит.
It's not right.
Это неправильно.
How can I accept a lie?
Как я могу принять ложь?
It's just impossible.
Это невозможно.
How can I let this go?
Как я могу это отпустить?
If I let it go, it'll carry on.
Если я это отпущу, это будет продолжаться.
But I'm keeping it going.
Я продолжаю, чтобы это длилось.
It's hard to let it go.
Тяжело это отпустить.
But it's hurting me.
Это причиняет мне боль.
And that's up to me.
От меня зависит.
I deserve better than this.
Я заслуживаю лучше, чем это.
I deserve her respect.
Я заслуживаю ее уважения.
I need her respect.
Мне нужно ее уважение.
It hurts.
Это причиняет боль, это обидно.
It hurts the way it is.
Причиняет боль, как оно происходит.
So what do you think? Is there anything you can do to let this go and see what happens? Are we...
It looks like if I move forward, it means that I prove that they all right. That somebody can invade,
yes,
push me away, and I will just agree with it and do something else.
Right. So this is part of the trap. The trap is if you react, you make him right. Yes. But if you don't react, you make him right.
Yes.
So I can't win.
Я не могу выиграть.
You know, if I get angry, I'm dangerous.
I would say that I'm easily ready to lose her, but at least I will express my anger. That would be like seeing that don't kid with me, don't fuck with me, you know.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, it's just don't fuck with me.
Не докапывайся до меня.
How dare you?
Как ты смеешь?
How dare you lie about me?
Как ты смеешь врать про меня? And put your rules that restrict me. Like
you're
and playing by his rules, I lose.
Yeah. He built the trap.
Да, он создал.
This is his trap. You can, like, if you have to be so smart to get out of this with your pride, with your reputation, because he has attacked your reputation to her.
Actually, I'm not afraid to lose reputation, I think.
Okay.
I'm ready to be crazy.
Okay. So let's just check in on that neck and shoulder now. How are things?
It become more like easy and not so sharp.
And when you think about, you know, what it looks like, if you go inside and what it looks like, what does it look like now?
Like a wood, something damp. Not so like something gray or brown, but still everywhere.
Yeah. So has it come down in intensity?
Yes, a little bit, but it's kind of ready to go up again.
Well, there's something keeping you. You're holding on to this. How does what we did so far? How does that strike you?
You mean what?
How does that? What do you think of what we just did?
Yeah, I feel guilty that it takes a lot of somebody's attention on that, on your attention, on working again and again on this stuff that is kind of so surprisingly still there.
Interesting. So, you know, a lot of people say to me, "Oh, I worked on that. I've done lots of tapping on that." And I think, you know, if you were cutting down a tree, and how do you know you're finished cutting down the tree? It falls down.
Yes.
And so when when we're finished with an issue, we get a change. And if the change isn't complete, then there's still more. Now, I think your pride has been hurt. It's not fair. It's not right. This is, he's making up rules and then demanding you play by them. She's believed him. It's fairly complicated. So if what we just did feels useful, then maybe we can talk again. But well, I hate to say it, but I do have to wrap up our call. But
yeah.
My heart aches for you. I hope that if I get a chance to help you, I will. And
okay, thank you, Angie. Do you have webinars or something online, or you do only like live trainings? And do you do them now?
I'm in this transition from traveling all over the world, doing, I was teaching in Greece and, about 10 countries, 4 continents. And then I've stopped being the trainers with AAMET, and I am now in the process of creating webinars and online trainings for people to enhance their EFT skills. So that's on the way. That's coming.
So we would like to tap with you. Maybe we will make some webinars with you, Andy, and work on issues. So all the details, please look
okay.
if you would like to, and we can discuss this if you like. Would you like to join this community and work with us?
I would love to. I'm thrilled. I think in 2003, I was part of the Gary Craig's borrowing benefits.
Yes.
And what we realized is that if we were tapping with someone else's issue, we would get a result on ours without having to confront anything. And I think Brad Yates and I are similar. We love to have a group and to just tap this person and this person. And so there's group tapping and borrowing benefits tapping, which is you work with someone and the group taps with that person. But it's also more like what Brad does, which is, you got a question, we'll tap with you and we'll tap with you. And so I believe in having fun, because laughing is healing. And so I don't think there's anything more effective than a couple of hours of tapping together, especially, in a group. It's very beneficial, online or in person.
Okay. Would you like to come to Russia? And what do you know about Russians? And I think in London you see a lot of Russian people.
Yeah, most of my life I was in Canada, so sort of on the far side, a long way from Russia, closer to Alaska, closer to Vladivostok than So what it seems is that there's a thriving, growing lifestyle in Russia, that it's happening, and so many people we don't know what's going on. It's like then I meet people like Alex a few days ago, talked to you. It's exciting. If I can be supportive and engage with people like you, yes, I will. I'd love to.
Thank you very much, Andy, for your time and for your experience, and we hope to see you again and tap with you.
Perfect.
Thank you very much, and welcome to our Russian community.
Well, thanks. I'm happy to be here.
Yes.